I think out of God's infinite love and wisdom, because He's God, He doesn't always answer our why questions. And in Genesis chapter 25, verse 22, it says, "But the children struggled together within her. And she said, 'If all is well, why am I like this?' So she went to inquire of the Lord." And this is talking about Rebecca, who is married to Isaac, and she's pregnant with Jacob and Esau. And they must have been giving her a hard time when she was pregnant because she asked, "Why am I like this?" And then she went to go ask God. And it reminded me of a time in my mid 20s where I did the same thing. I was frustrated about something and I went to go ask God, why am I feeling like this? So what happened was is I'm in grad school and I'm in class. There's like 60 some students and participation is a huge part of our grade. But for whatever reason, I couldn't speak up. If anything, I felt mute. I felt oppressed. I felt like I wanted to hide. I didn't want to draw attention to myself. But I can feel my participation grade slipping away from me as my classmates are answering with this analysis, that insight. And I was thinking to myself, I had the same idea in my head. And I asked God, why am I like this? But in that small question, Holy Spirit actually answered me. And He said, sixth grade. And immediately a memory came to mind. I was living in Virginia at the time, and there were these two girls and a boy who pretty much bullied me most of the year. Our pastor had been teaching us about how Holy Spirit heals us, and using a book by Dr. Charles Kraft called Deep Wounds, Deep Healing, that as God heals us, that's part of our sanctification and our walk in becoming more like Christ, in becoming a new creation. The things that happened in the past that the enemy might try to use to oppress us or hinder us or make us fearful, that God heals us of those things. So when this memory came up, I asked Jesus, where were you? Because the truth is, whether I knew Jesus at that time or believed in Him or had a relationship with God, Jesus was always with me because that's what the Bible promises. God created me, so He's known me since even before I was born, ever since I was, in my mother's womb. So Jesus has always been with me. So I asked Him, where were you on picture day when I was 12 in sixth grade? And the crazy thing is, Jesus showed me that He was the photographer. And I'm sure that day, actually, in real life, the photographer was frazzled and, elementary kids, boisterous, and just like randomly gave me the sign in the front row to hold for the class picture. But when you look at our picture, and I have to dig it up, I remember it somewhere, Holy Spirit brought back to mind, I'm not the middle student. It looks funny in the picture because it's not centered, that I'm holding the sign. But it was as if Jesus was telling me, I saw you. I gave you something important to do. Jesus was validating to me that I wasn't alone and that He saw me. So I'm not sure how to explain it, but it was as if I could lift my head. That's how I felt, even as like 12-year-old me. So Holy Spirit walked me through forgiving those three students. At that time, I vividly remembered their first and last name. And so I forgave them and I released them to God because only God is judge. And then Holy Spirit asked me to bless them. And I don't remember them after even when we went to junior high, but wherever they were in their mid-20s, like me, I just prayed that God would bless them and be with them and things would be going well with them. But sure enough, that week later, when I went to class, I was raising my hands. I felt like free of whatever that oppressive fear was, or this lie that I can't draw attention to myself, or this lie that I should hide. It was gone. I remember asking God, why was it like grad school that triggered that? That's something that I had forgotten. I'm an extrovert, so I'm used to speaking in public or giving presentations. And I knew that feeling wasn't normal, but why did it never come up until then, more than 10 years later? And I felt like God said, it's because sixth grade was the last time that I was in a class, locked in, okay, for lack of a better word, with the same peers all day. Junior high, high school, college, your class is constantly changing. Your friendships and your environment is constantly changing. I must have felt, again, locked in or trapped. And it started triggering these feelings of wanting to be silenced. And when Holy Spirit clarified that, I was like, wow, God really knows the perfect timing for our healing. So, again, God doesn't always answer our why questions, but I'm so thankful that even for Rebecca, she was able to ask God, why am I like this? She took the question to Him. And for me too, He hasn't answered all of my why questions, but I will never forget that time in my mid 20s when I did ask Him why. And then He healed me of the bullying from my childhood trauma that I had honestly kind of forgotten about.